In other global news, former U.S. President Donald Trump faces another indictment. This time, his efforts to overturn 2020 elections in the state of Georgia. After a long day of hearing, the Georgia grand jury handed up 10 indictments in this very case. However, it is not clear that the indictment is against whom. Now, ahead of the indictment, a document appeared on the court website, which indicated that Trump has already been charged. It listed 13 charges against the former U.S. president, including racketeering, a law used to target members of the organizations engaged in illegal activity, as well as making false statements, filing false documents, and several conspiracy charges as well. However, the document was quickly removed from the site. Now, Trump has described them as leaked charges against him. He says before the grand jury testimony is even finished, it has been decided how the case will end. He has urged his supporters to donate to his campaign and prove their loyalty. Meanwhile, the Georgia court has described the potential leak as fictitious document. The court has clarified that no charges had been filed against Trump. Trump is accused of illegally seeking to overturn the state's 2020 election results. This marks his fourth indictment in less than 5 months. Trump has already pleaded not guilty this month to 4 federal charges which were linked to 2020 election interference allegations and also role in the January 6th Capitol riots. Trump also faces state charges in New York over a hush money payment, as well as federal charges linked to his mishandling of the classified government documents. He has pleaded not guilty in both these cases as well. However, the latest charge could also present most serious threat to Trump's liberty as a 2024 presidential candidate. This as they would strip Trump of the powers in Georgia that presidents arguably enjoy in the federal system to self-pardon or have prosecutors drop the case. And for more on this, we're now being joined by correspondent Susan Tehrani from New York. Now, hi Susan, Georgia grand jury has indicted Donald Trump in the 2020 election subversion case, and this is Trump's 4th indictment. He also faces 78 criminal charges from the 3 other cases. What's the latest on this?
Yeah, so we do have the news of the indictment because very oddly, there is a camera in the court and we saw the grand jury deliver those indictments to the judge. The judge signed it. And then we're waiting to see what these 10 indictments are. We do know that there are co-conspirators in this case, aside from the former president. And this particular district attorney and Fulton County in general, basically really, and a lot of other prosecutors, they focus on something that's called the RICO prosecutions, which is to take a case and then associate a number of individuals with that case. So that's as far as we know right now. We don't know what exactly are in these 10 indictments, but I'm so glad you mentioned that report by Reuters, where for a very short time there was a document of a possible indictment with charges that went online on the court's website and then immediately was taken off, and a clerk called it, something like nonsense or the direct quote that you mentioned. So the Trump team really believes that, they had a case before they even had a case. They were very upset that, first of all, that document went on the Fulton County, on this court's website, and also why it was in the possession of the clerk, where it should only be in the possession of the attorney general at that point. So a lot of questions surrounding that. We'll have to see if what happened with that and what was in that indictment is going to be similar to what we're expecting to hear now about these 10 indictments. And then the question is it 10 indictments for 10 people, or is it 10 indictments against the former president and then some other co-conspirators that are involved? So a lot of questions over there as well. But they did work. The grand jury really worked well into the night. The situation just instigated a lot faster than we had anticipated, and they wanted to get this indictment out apparently tonight. Some believe it's because of that leak on the website, which there wasn't really an explanation for. Others say that perhaps they want to get this going so, for the timing and when the president would have to have a trial. Would it be before the elections, during campaigning, or will it be after the elections, which of course the former president wants, but it's highly unlikely that this district attorney and this judge would even agree to something like that.
Absolutely.
So
Susan,
that's what we have right now. It's an important racket. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, so now just coming to that, it is not clear that the indictment is against whom, but also shed some light on what impact will the latest indictment have on Trump's upcoming presidential campaign.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, so far, it's really been favorable for the former president. With each indictment, his popularity has grown stronger among his base, among Republicans. However, again, that question remains on how well he can do in a general election. And second of all, whether we have 3 indictments, we have court dates that are March of next year, May of next year, possibly we'll have one in July of next year as well. I mean, these are all during primaries. These are all during the time when he should be out there campaigning and not in a courtroom. So we'll have to see what effects really, not just these indictments, but once they go to trial, will really have not only on the Trump camp, because after all, they'll be not only making money because of these indictments, because they call it politically motivated. They say it's election interference at this point for 2024, but also because they'll be losing money as well. A lot of fees will go into that. And then, it'll suck the energy out of what's happening during the election should the former president become the nominee, because there won't be any talk about policy not much. It'll focus, the headlines are going to focus on indictments. And then, we still don't know what's going to happen with the current president. There's talk of impeachment hearings for current President Biden, his association with his son's business dealings. I mean, if he becomes the Democrat nominee, then of course, again, the headlines are going to focus on that. And then we'll have to see how that will affect the former president during all this as well. So this is uncharted territory. We've never been here before, at least in contemporary times. So it's hard to tell what will happen next year. But for now, the president's allies, his supporters, are standing firm by him. And with each of these indictments, he just becomes more and more popular, because at the end of the day, prosecutors and the Democrats haven't been able to really bring anything substantial home when it comes to something criminal against the former president.
All right, Susan, thank you so much for joining us on WION and sharing insights with us on this. We'll, of course, be tracking the story very closely right here on WION. Thanks very much.